Hey people, Dr. Kit, the Bee Vet here, for another episode of Ask Me Anything with the Bee Vet. So this week I'm going to be talking about Varroa again. I did a video about Varroa mite about half a year ago, and I've got lots of people continuing to ask me about it, so I think it's time for an update. So Varroa was detected in Australia in, I believe, June 2022, and it is now September 2023. And so it's still here and it's still spreading. To date, the strategy has been one of eradication. So if any hives are detected with Varroa, they are destroyed, and those within a radius. And there was also bait stations put out. So they had toxic baits, and the idea was that honeybees within a radius where the mite was detected would go to those bait stations, and then those colonies that potentially carried the mite as well would be destroyed. Now, this is an okay strategy when it's conducted in winter, because in the regions where Varroa mite was detected, most insects are not active during winter, certainly not the native bees. But it's now spring and everything is starting to get out and about and, try and continue the circle of life. So now bait stations aren't such a good idea. The other thing is that you would think that there would be data about how effective the strategy is, how many honeybees are going to the bait stations, how many other insects are going to the bait stations, and what we've been told is that they will be shooed away by people that are watching the bait stations. There's no data. This is a problem because if it's a successful strategy, then there is evidence to say, yes, this is a successful strategy, let's keep going with this. No data. And this is very poor science. Science should always have data that's collected and transparent. The only time when it shouldn't be made publicly available is if it's for a species that is of conservation concern and is rare, because we don't want people going and trying to collect it. So, no data. And this is an issue that's been facing insect conservation as a whole. We have no data about the populations of most native bees. We don't know whether any particular species is increasing or decreasing, except for some very few exceptions where it's almost too late, like the Xylocopolestis aurata subspecies on Kangaroo Island. We should be monitoring populations in particular areas or monitoring species, even species that are listed as critically endangered. There's only, I believe, 4. No one is going back every year to monitor them to see how many there are, to see if the strategies that are in place, which are very few, to protect the populations are working, whether we need to have other strategies like plant more of their best flora resources. So data deficiency is a big issue facing bee conservation in Australia, and data transparency. Varroa mite control would be so much easier if every single beekeeper registered their hives. There is no laws. You might have seen in the background, I have a cat. Everyone that has a cat generally has to register their cat. Same with dogs. I've got 2 dogs, have to register in the council. Not the case with honeybees. So no one knows how many honeybees there are in a particular area. Again, making control and maintenance of disease very difficult. So basically this video is saying that we don't have enough data to know what is working and what's not. But it looks like that we will probably have to move more to a strategy of mitigation and control of Varroa rather than eradication. And this, I guess, was sort of clear from what's happening overseas. Basically, the outlook is, as I keep saying, not the end of the world. Honeybees are not going to go to extinction. Probably the last species that's going to become extinct of all bees. So no concerns there. There will be issues with crop pollination if there are declines, and if there's limitations in honeybee movement, which there actually should be, so that Varroa isn't spread everywhere. But these will again not lead to mass starvation. Overseas, in countries that have had Varroa for much longer, that have way less healthy honeybee populations, terrible landscapes, like Australia is one of the best landscapes for bees because we have mass flowering eucalypts, and it's a floristically diverse country. If we protect the bushland, that's an item for another talk. So we do need to really be better at biosecurity, at registering hives, at preventing feral honeybees. They are probably the main reservoir for Varroa. So if we had prevented feral honeybee colonies, which are a big issue for wildlife conservation, way before Varroa came, probably wouldn't have been as big of a problem as it is now. So, too late now, but we do need to prevent further spread, register hives, and actually collect data on the effectiveness of different measures. If you have more questions about bees, feel free to DM me on my Instagram at @bbabette_performer. That's BEE.BABETTE_performer. If you want to support my research on bee conservation, I have a Patreon. It will be in the links. And yeah, till next time, people.